So for this video, we're going to be making a Kinevac vial to give a dose of Kinevac to a patient for a HIDA scan for ejection fraction. So there's a few of the things that you're going to need are you're going to need one 5cc syringe, and then two 3cc syringes, and then 3 needles to go with those syringes. You'll also need a vial of sterile water, not sterile saline, but sterile water, and a vial of Kinevac. We're going to be infusing this with an IV drip. So you'll need one 50 ml bag of saline and an IV tubing set. So creating the Kinevac is a relatively simple procedure. So first we're going to start with the sterile water. We're going to pop the top off there. We will clean the diaphragm. And while that's drying, we will get our 5cc syringe and a needle. So in this Kinevac vial, there's 5 micrograms of Kinevac. So to get a 1-to-1 ratio, we need to have 5 mLs of fluid to get a 1 microgram per ml concentration. So we're going to pull up 5 cc's or 5 mLs of sterile water. Sterile water. Recap that needle so we can clean the Kinevac vial. We should have cleaned it before we got the sterile water. That way we can go directly into the Kinevac. But if you don't do that, you have to recap the needle just like I did. Again, use a needle recapping device to avoid any injuries from the needle. So now we take our 5 cc's of sterile water and we're going to put it into the Kinevac vial. Pull out the equivalent of air to keep the pressure down. And then we're going to get rid of that needle. So we can put that in our sharps. And then we're going to mix this around a little bit to dilute or to dissolve that Kinevac solution. So now we need to pull out a dose of Kinevac. So we'll say that we need 1.3 cc's or 1.3 micrograms of Kinevac for our patient. The calculation for that is 0.02 micrograms per kilogram of patient weight. So I'm going to pull up 1.3 micrograms. Since we have a 1-to-1 ratio of Kinevac to water, we have a 1 microgram per ml concentration. So to pull up 1.3 micrograms, I'm going to pull up 1.3 ml of Kinevac. So pull up 1.3. Make sure we don't have any air there, make sure we have the right dosage. 1.3, I'll recap that needle. Okay, so we have our dose of Kinevac, 1.3 micrograms. So since we are doing this in a IV drip rather than a syringe injection or a syringe pump, we have to pull a little bit of fluid out of this 50 ml bag so that way we keep the volume as 50 ml in the bag. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the equivalent volume of our dose out of this that saline vial. So on this bag there is a little diaphragm here we're going to clean. And we're going to pull 1.3 ml out of this bag. we'll toss that saline. And now we have our 1.3 micrograms of Kinevac we're going to add to this bag. So again, let's clean the diaphragm. And we're going to add our Kinevac. So we're adding 1.3 micrograms of Kinevac to this saline vial, or sorry, the saline bag. And we want to mix it up a little bit, get it evenly distributed through that saline. Okay, so before we administer the Kinevac to the patient, we have to prime the IV tubing because all that's in here right now is air, and we have to make sure the air does not get to the patient. It can cause what's known as an air embolism, and that'll work the same as a blood clot in the body. So it is not good for the patient. So we have to make sure we limit the air that's in here and get rid of it or purge that air. So we have to take off this little cover, and then what we can do is we take the cap off of this IV tubing, and it's a little spike under here, and this is the term that you'll hear of spiking the bag. So we're going to push this up in here. You'll see bubbles start to form when you get it in all the way. You just squeeze this chamber right here to pre-prime it. And then we are going to open the line. And at the beginning, we want to make sure that this roller clamp is all the way down so we don't have water coming in first. We want to control the water coming in here to minimize the turbulence and the air bubbles that'll be created when we prime this. So we're going to slowly open the wheel, and we can watch the water just start to trickle down through the line. We don't want to go too fast, but we don't have to go super slow either. Just a controlled fluid. We have to make sure the water gets all the way to the end of our line, so we purge all the air out of this line. Once it gets to the end, clamp it off, and we're primed. So the next step is to get this IV line installed into our IV pump. So we have to turn it on. First thing we want to do is hit OK on adult general care. You can hit B and then A, and that'll bring up a menu, and you can select basic because Kinevac is not installed into a lot of these pumps. So we'll use a basic infusion. Okay. We'll hit primary bag. We'll make sure the mode is on ml per hour, and then we're going to put in the rate. We're going to infuse this for an hour, so we're going to do 50 mLs per hour. And volume to be infused will be 50. So it will run for 1 hour, and it will stop when it gives 50 cc's of fluid. So now we have to install it in here. So there's this little blue clamp on this line, and this is specific to this pump only. There's other pumps out there, and the way they function will be different. But what we have to do is we have to put that blue clamp through the top, and what it's going to do is going to open this door for us, just like that. So now we have to install our tubing all the way through. Move this roller clamp down just a little bit. There we go. And you have to press, there's 4 different spots within this door. They're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have to press on them, and they'll turn green over here when it's installed properly. So now I'm going to close this door, and then I'm going to pull the blue clip out, and it's good to go. Now at this point, I would go connect it to my patient, and once I'm ready to start the Kinevac infusion, I would hit start or run on this pump, and it'll start infusing this Kinevac at a rate of 50 ml per hour, and it'll give all the Kinevac dose over the entire hour.